Ciao, hi, hey, hola guys, it's your boy M.K.S here, back with another video, and welcome to part 2 of my plans for a Black Millionaires network, which would all be part I call Millionaires networks, which I covered at the end of part 1, and I've mentioned in the past, and maybe hopefully I'll cover again in point number 20, but on that note, these are pointers number 11 to 20. That's the usual for part 2. I wanted to say before I got on to the list, I welcome any views, as in viewership, and/or views and opinions, both types of views, constructive criticism or whatever as well. Welcome. Hopefully it won't be too harsh, but yeah, I welcome your feedback. I welcome people viewing the videos. That'd be great. Sharing the videos, I really appreciate that. Likes and things like that, either on Facebook and/or on YouTube. As I say, I really appreciate that kind of thing. And anyone who's interested in Black empowerment, Black history, and things like that, and sharing ideas, please get involved, and please let me know what you think in the comments, and any ideas and suggestions you have yourself. Do you think that talking about Black millionaires can be inspiring? I know for Black people, I know money isn't everything generally, but yeah, I'd love to know what people think. And the point of these videos is just partly to have a bit of fun and to express myself, but also to help the Black community for Black History Month, which I hope to focus on in February and October for Britain. That is Black History Month here in Britain, not the UK or whatever, in October. Having said all that, with that all being said, or however you want to put it, yeah, if you please like and share the video and all that kind of stuff, and support the channel, YouTube, in any way you can. I'd really appreciate that. And if I ever made money from these videos, looking ahead, if I ever do, I doubt I will, but you never know. If I ever do, I would donate the money to the Black community, especially in America. So if this video ever got to make money or whatever, I would donate it to whatever I made to the Black community in America, to African Americans, although this is for a worldwide, a global network. And yeah, so if you want to clip it, record it, tag it, or whatever, make your own reaction to my madness, I'd welcome that. I hope you won't be too harsh, but even if you mock me a little bit, I'll try and take it on the chin, take a bit of humour, all that kind of thing. But anyway, onto the list. So these are pointers number 11 to 20, as I say. So number 11, I hope this will change people's perception, show what Black people can do, and prove haters wrong. In order to join, you would have to be both Black and a millionaire. So you'd have to fit the description of the group. I'd have to be like the only non-Black and/or millionaire founder, but member. But even that, just like as a founder. But in terms of to go to the events and things like that, you would have to be both Black and dyslexic. Although it could have investors into it, if and when it got up and running, it could have people who invest into it as a brand. It could be a brand, but in order to be a full member, you have to be both Black and or millionaire. And then I talked about how in part 1 about how they'd meet up, possibly once a week, once a month, or even once a day, possibly on Zoom, and possibly even traveling, or it might be like to save time, they might have each other's number. So if you have any business ideas or anything, any investment ideas, you can call us, or you can call each other, or whatever. And sometimes they could have annual meetings or whatever, things like that, AGMs and that kind of thing, annual general meetings or whatever, that kind of thing, including on Zoom. And again, hope it will change perceptions. And I talked in part 1 about how, like, I think of millionaires and billionaires as being like people in business, or at least owning a share in a business, but it could be investors, musicians, movie producers, directors, stars, whatever, rappers, athletes, sports stars, and people in different fields, which technically is not really, although they are industries, they're not the people who necessarily own those industries, and maybe getting more Black people to have ownership of those industries. Yeah, moving on to point number 12, I'd love for Black millionaires to mentor, teach and train, and especially mentor and be role models for more Black people. Talk about how they could help more young Black people to become well-to-do. They could even help more future black millionaires, that kind of thing, especially helping younger people. I'm a great believer in like starting young and making plenty of mistakes and learning from those mistakes. But yeah, mentorship and things like that. Due to my use of alliterations and my obsession with alliterations, I normally think of things, in this case, that begin with M. So I talk about music and movies, and things like that. But being a bit more like sort of business-like, avoiding my silly quirks, I guess. I know I mentioned mentorship and things like that, but talking about athletes and sports stars and things like that, people from different industries, it'd be interesting to see what. I mean, maybe there could be a way of looking at like maybe people could make videos on inspired by this video. I welcome people making videos like the Black Exodus channel on YouTube. They could make videos like, if they've not already done so, they may have already made this one. But I know they've made quite a few on like entrepreneurs and all that kind of thing, like millionaires and billionaires and that kind of thing. But they could make videos on like what industries produce the most black millionaires, or even millionaires generally, which black people could learn from and say, yeah, let's go into this industry and that would help us to be financially better off, to make more money. So, like money makers. Yeah, there's different industries, of course, of learning to invest and that kind of thing. But yeah, I suppose I'm a bit too obsessed with alliterations, I guess. But I had this plan a while back, so I wanted to stick to it. But having said that, moving on to number 13, I normally say a selfish thing that I'd love for somehow African Americans and the black diaspora even to invest into and sponsor Italian soccer teams like AC Milan, AC Monza, Inter Milan, AC Milan, Roma, and Italian teams generally, which I talked about before from a selfish point of view. And I suppose the challenge in that is that I know, unfortunately, Italian society, including in soccer, can be quite racist, but maybe improving relations with soccer and say, oh yeah, if we treat black people better, then I guess they could invest in us, and in the future, some of them could play for Italian teams and whatnot. So, as ever, I'd love to know if you think I'm being naive or whatever. But yeah, those are some of the things from a selfish point of view I dream to happen. So I talk about like how I'd love for to trademark, hence I put TM for trademark. I used to think that means team. And this was like, what's wrong with it? Like, you want to get into business. And back then I was really interested. I kind of still am interested in how business works, but I'm more interested in the philanthropic side of things. But I say TM for trademark. And again, I suppose I mentioned this in part one, but I would love to give 20%. Like I would love to have 10% of the equity and give 20% of that 10% to Italian soccer. So, for instance, if this network became a brand, the Black Millionaires United brand, and it made $1 billion, or if I'm really dreaming like even 100 billion, or let's say 10 billion, and I was I had 10% of the equity, that would be 1 billion. I'm thinking of really big numbers as I do, even though I'm not that great at maths. It'd be quite ironic if I achieved this, I'm saying that, but ideas like this. But yeah, if I put it into action with others and all that kind of thing, it worked out even anywhere near as well as I dream it would. I would give like that billion, I would split it 5% each, and 20% or a fifth of that would go to Italian soccer, to teams like AC Monza, Inter Milan, and AC Milan. Obviously, I'm thinking of AC Milan because it won this cup, and they are called the Devils. I think one reason why I mentioned them quite a lot in point number 13. But yeah, Italian teams including Roma as well. Number 14, also Celtic, and I'll talk about that. Hopefully, this network could work together to solve problems. A problem shared is a problem halved, and hopefully, even the solution shared is something that can help it to go even further. Number 15, I talked about how I'd love for it to support Black ambition, and in part one, I mentioned about how I had this mug, which unfortunately the picture on it had faded, or has faded. Over time, and it says this time next year will be millionaires, and this one is a monopoly mug. I was thinking it would be cool if they could monopolize industries, although I would like them to do so legally. I suppose there's only so much you can do. Normally industries, I suppose, have a duopoly in many cases, or multiple companies, but they say thinking differently really helps. And I suppose that I didn't want to mention too much about neurodivergent ideas, but I guess neurodivergence could help, and maybe more people could learn about neurodivergent people like Damon John with dyslexia. I forgot to say point number 3 actually, about tax cuts, tax exemptions, which I mentioned recently, and they could lobby together. I guess they could form a group that could lobby to get lower taxes. I mean, I'm stuck in two minds about whether a network like this should just have like I'm sure pretty much all black millionaires, I'm sure, would have, as well as financial advisors, accountants, and people like that, I'm sure, bookkeepers or whatnot, I'm sure all of them pretty much would have, or do have, uh, tax advisors, but also like a legal team, lawyers, and that kind of thing. And I wonder if part of me wonders if they should save money and fire all their other attorneys or lawyers and financial advisors that they don't need, and just have one financial advisor for the whole group, or if they could get all their financial advisors to come together. I guess thinking about it probably would, for their other brands, if they want to keep them separately, I guess they would probably not want to offend the financial advisors. But I mean, it could be a cost kind of thing where they could save money by just having one financial advisor, or maybe even learning to use AI, maybe even creating AI that could do all that kind of stuff and save them a bit of money. Or they might want to bring a whole team of advisors, um, political, legal, and financial advisors together. I'd love to know what you think about that. But I suppose they would decide, and they would probably know from experience what's best, and they would pool their money and resources together, hopefully, and invest in other black-owned businesses, for instance, again, helping young people, and having their own version of the Shark Tank and things like that. Or even, as I'm thinking globally, I know it's Black History Month in America, but this is more of a global brand. And I mentioned lawyers. I didn't say solicitors because I was thinking like America, but come to think of it, would be hopefully global. So yeah, they could have a version of the Shark Tank or Dragon's Den or things like that, maybe, I guess. Yeah, I know I talked about mentorship and helping, mentorship that is, and helping young blacks with their ambition and that kind of thing. I'm thinking of a song as well when I think about it. Still Dre, where they say, in the song, they say, Dr. Dre says, still like see young blacks making money. And I think, like, what if they donated 10% of the revenue they made from that song to helping young black entrepreneurs and creating the next future generation of millionaires, which would make the song sell even more, so that 90% they would keep would be worth even more. But yeah, if I could, I would trademark protect these ideas, and for these networks get 10% of the equity. And again, if it was worth like 10 billion, that would be like 1 billion. If it was worth 100 billion, that would even be 10 billion, which would mean I'd have 2 billion each to give to Italian soccer, Celtic, libertarianism, people from former colonies, and to tackle poverty and that kind of thing. Although it would feel really weird, someone like me who's never achieved anything, yeah, that would be quite amazing. Number 16, again, they would network and share ideas. I think I talked about like the problem shared is a problem halved, and if they network together, hopefully they can double up on their solutions and investments and things like that, and know where to invest their money. I often think like people who make that kind of money would know where to invest money to make their money multiply. So hopefully they can 10x it, even 100x it, or whatnot, 100 times it, in other words. So yeah, maybe it could be worth even many billions, maybe even hundreds of billions, if they work together, because those great minds who know how to make money and overcome their challenges, they've overcome the prejudice they faced up to an extent. I know obviously they still face prejudice, unfortunately, but there's still parts of America they probably can't go to, for instance. Again, thinking about globally, around the world. But they know how to make money and that kind of thing, I'm sure. I don't really believe in luck, so I'm sure they know how to make money and that kind of thing. Well, some people say the harder you work, or the smarter you work, even, or both, the luckier you get. So they can multiply their luck if you believe in luck or whatever, or multiply their blessings. Number 17, I'd say it would be hard to imagine someone like me achieving this, and part of me does think I feel a bit silly discussing the idea. I know it's kind of a bit of fun, but of course I'd love for it to happen, and it would set me free from other ideas or help with other ideas, having that funding to support those other plans and projects. Part of me thinks it would be too good to be true, but as ever, I like to share these mad ideas in my mind. I'd love to know what you think about this idea for a network, and do you think it could be ethical and achieve loads of things, help people, or whatever other things you think about the idea? Hopefully you won't be too harsh, but I'd love to know your thoughts generally. I normally think of like imaginatives for point number 17, so imagining what they could achieve. It'd be hard to imagine them making like trillions, but I suppose with AI now, you can never tell. I think like most people are going to lose out on AI. But I think it's like a $1 trillion opportunity, £1 trillion opportunity, or I was saying even £1 trillion opportunity, or trillions even, in the future. I mean, I remember like I didn't watch the film, but I've seen the clips of like the Social Network or whatever it was called, about Facebook, and how they said a billionaire is like, or is the next millionaire or whatever. So it used to be like aspire to be a millionaire, then a billionaire, and in the future maybe it'll be like trillionaires. Who knows? But hopefully it'll do a lot of good things as well, and as well as making money. Number 18, I would say I hope it will inspire black people. Just like I say with dyslexics, and again, I know I'm saying I don't want to talk too much about dyslexia because I want to focus on black empowerment this month. But just like I say with dyslexia or neurodiversity generally, hopefully it will show what people can achieve if they work smart and hard enough or whatever. Number 19, working together in programming, software development, STEM, and things like that. And number 20, again, it would be hard to see it making like trillions, but who knows? With AI, all that kind of thing, they multiply their investments and invest together. And if there are hundreds or even thousands of members, each have $1 million. So if you think about like 1 million people with $1 million each or more, that already is $1 billion between them. So if they could 10x their money, then it could go much further, and especially with AI and all that kind of thing. If they could 100x their money, it would be hard to see. It would be amazing to see and quite exciting to think what they could achieve. And I suppose, just like I said in point number 10, and I sort of touched on it earlier, but I would say I'd love to trademark data and have 10% of the equity of all these, what I call millionaire networks, like for millionaires, and reward billionaires, or even trillionaires in the future. But anyway, I am out, and peace and love.